Hi, I'm here with Celina McEwen, whose paper, written with Alison Pullen and Rhodes, entitled Repressive Equality Regimes, Theorizing the Disconnections in Organizational Equity Practices, has been recognised by the Critical Management Studies Division of the Academy of Management on the basis of review evaluations and in conjunctions with one of the editors of Gender, Work and Organisation. We're delighted that that their work has been awarded the best critical paper on gender, work and organisation. Congratulations to you, Celina, and to your co-authors. I wonder, can you tell me a bit about the paper and maybe how it fits within our critical community?
Yeah, hi Richard, hi everybody. I'm very, very excited about this prize, the best critical paper on gender. Well, in a way, it's a surprise, but yeah, we're very happy about having this and recognizing our work. So as you said, this is a paper that I've wrote with Alison Pullen from Macquarie University and Rhodes from University of Technology, Sydney. I'm also from University of Technology, Sydney, and I'm located on the Gadigal land of the Eora Nation. Sorry. So yes, we're very excited about this prize, and I can't wait to tell you more about the paper.
Sure. So tell me a bit, so let's get straight into it. Tell me a bit about the paper. What have you been trying to do in it?
So with this paper, it's really the culmination of 4 years of work on an Australian Research Council funded project that's called Leadership Diversity Through Relational Intersectionality in Australia. And so with this project, we looked at the relationship between leadership, diversity and discrimination in 3 different organizations of different types of organizations in Australia. So the paper is, as I said, the culmination of that work, us trying to theorize about our understanding of how people in organizations are affected by different forms of workplace diversity, but also how the diversity frameworks that are in place often end up constraining those that it's supposed to support. So that's the what the paper is about, obviously, but what is possibly less obvious is that for us it's also a way of providing a testimony to the experiences of diversity, inclusion and discrimination of the participants from these 3 organizations. So the people who took part in our research in the case study sites. So we wanted to be able to give voice to their experiences and to what they, the data they gave us, and we wanted to be able to also highlight that. So the paper serves those 2 purposes for us, really.
Thank you. That sounds fascinating. It's clearly located within a rich body of work within our community. I wonder, are there particular ways in which your work fits in, or are there particular learnings that you're building on, or that you are sort of moving towards, takeaways that you'd really like the reader to pick up on?
Well, in a way, I think what's interesting for me personally, maybe not for Alison and Carl, because we come from different from different disciplines and practices within business. But for me, it's almost like a conversations with different traditions within the critical theory field, if I can call it that, because it's quite broad and there's not one field really. But it's kind of a conversation across different traditions, because we have Marcuse that we're drawing on here, which, with his theories around repressive tolerance. And then we've got Donaka with her ideas around inequality regimes and her theories around that. So in a way, it's also representing the 3 authors in a way, and our traditions and our baggage and what we come with. So it is interesting in that sense that we've brought together these different ideas, and that's helped us understand what was happening in these organizations.
That's really interesting. Can I just pick up on that? Can I just ask you,
Sure.
what your particular baggage or set of experiences or understanding of the world, what did your perspective bring to this paper?
So I brought to the paper Herbert Marcuse. So that's more of the place where I feel at home. So that was kind of the baggage that I brought to the work. But of course, working with Alison and Carl, I quickly started to read more broadly around gender in work and organizations, but also ethics and business ethics. And so Acker around gender was obviously somebody that that has is quite important and made a huge contribution around that. So for me, yes, I have a background in education as well as in sociology. So I have the practice lens that I also bring to all of that. So practice theories. So obviously, yeah, Marcuse was for me the tools that were most familiar, and so that conversation with Acker made sense in this particular context. So it was nice to bring these two together. So it's a discussion of these two theorists, but also a conversation between the three of us to make sense of what was happening.
That sounds fascinating. And really, and hearing you talk about it is really sort of bringing to mind different bits of the paper that stood out to me when I was reading it too. What is the I think I've said before, but thinking about a takeaway for the reader, or the what are you hoping that sort of that this might inspire people to reflect on, to think about, to interrogate for themselves?
Yes, well, I think it's there's two things really that I think the lessons, what we're hoping the reader will get is, for one, is to understand that despite these efforts to bring about change around notions of diversity and inclusion, there's still lots of inequalities that are being reproduced. And we're not saying that it is intentional, far from it. It's just that the systems that I've put in place do not challenge enough the structural inequalities that are already existing and in place in most organizations and society more broadly. So, that's, I think, is nothing new in a way, because there's, these are conversations we've been having for a long time. But I think that what we're bringing with this one is maybe different aspects to the conversation, where we're saying, through discourse, through the way we relate to each other, as well as through the structural, the systems that are in place, those inequalities are reproduced. And so we need to do more than just bring in diversity frameworks without challenging some of the other elements that are already there that we know about. But I think another aspect that I would like the readers to get from this is that we're also saying that change is possible. So we're not saying, this is our understanding and it's locked, nothing can happen from there. We also get to, we theorize about repressive equality regimes and what that means. And so we're hoping that that will be picked up on and more conversation will be had around that. I'm really keen to hear, what people agree with or disagree with, or how we can expand and improve on this concept. But coming back to change is possible, I think it's, the article, the paper has that component within it, that we put forward the idea that, yes, change is possible within this context. And so to do that, we need to understand the historical and political context in organizations. We need to become allies. We can't just, it's not simply a matter of putting in a policy and saying, okay, I've done my job, everything else will happen, because this is what we've seen. The trickle down effect is that we push down responsibilities to lower lower parts of the organization. We deflect responsibility. We create burden on people who whom these structures are supposed to, or not the structures, but the policies and the frameworks are supposed to support. So we need to have a better understanding of those historical and political contexts and how that keeps repeating itself and going against some of the changes that are trying to be made. But another point we also make is that for this change to happen, we also need to reimagine what equality means. So it's not just a simple matter of, again, just saying, okay, we'll put in a diversity policy in place. We need to understand what is meant by that, what kind of equality we're looking for, and what is understood. So we need to do that. We also need to rethink the relationship between leaders and followers. And I think we need to then also not only challenge the structures, but the cultures within organizations, especially, you know, when we have organizations where we know there are cultures where, you know, sexism is entrenched, racism is entrenched, all those things. So there's a lot of work to be done still, but we're still saying it's possible.
Yeah, well, there's so much in there, and I love the changes possible message too. And clearly, this you set out at the start here, this is sort of the culmination of 4 years' work and a lot of time spent with the data, theorizing, discussing, reflecting. I wonder what comes next.
Yes, well, what comes next? That's right. That's quite exciting, isn't it? Always.
Because you said that the work wasn't done. So
no, although that's right. Although there's still lots more to be done, because data sets is just very rich, as most researchers would know. You know, when you start doing qualitative research like this, and we've interviewed, you know, 70 plus people and observed practices within organizations. So we have a huge data set. There's more to be done around culture, sexism, you know, and discrimination, and especially in the context of Australia. A lot needs to be done still around Indigenous staff, employees, and relationships, and so we need to dive a little bit more into that. But I'm also still working on inequality and diversity issues in other contexts. So at the moment, for example, I'm looking at the impact of taking part in critical diversity learning programs on diversity and practices inclusions in higher education in Australia. And I've also joined the UTS Aging Research Collaborative that brings together research from across UTS and industry partners to look at the social, economic and environmental sustainability of the aged care sector. And so within that, I'm really interested in the diversity, the diverse workforce, and what that means there for them, how to work on these different issues there. So that's what's next for me, I think, in a nutshell.
Thanks, Celina. That's really inspiring and so important that you're doing this work. So thank you for the whole program of work you're committed to for this paper, and congratulations to you and Alison and Carl for it. We look forward to hearing more about it, seeing it in press somewhere, and yes. Congratulations and good luck.
Yes, thank you, Richard, and we're very, very happy about it. Thanks again.